Aloha mai kākou, and welcome to the Fall 2023 edition of UHMTV, a TV magazine show written, hosted, and produced by students at the University of Hawaii at Mānoa. I'm Hiʻilawe Neves.
And I'm Noah Clay. Mahalo for joining us from our College of Social Sciences digital studios. Coming up in this episode,
hear the power behind our words and the influence they have on our aging.
Learn about native species and the challenges they face in our islands.
Plus, get a behind-the-scenes look at our award-winning digital studios.
And see local perspectives from Oahu's renowned Stairway to Heaven.
Stay tuned for all this and more on UHMTV.
How many times have you said, "I'm sorry, I must be getting old"? And can voicing these sentiments actually hurt us as we age?
Let's hear from a communicology expert who tells us how the things we say can affect how we age. Dr. Amy Abesu Hubbard has the story.
According to the World Health Organization, the population worldwide is living longer. 1 in 6 people will be 60 years or older by the end of this decade. Many people think of old age as a time of decline, physically and cognitively going downhill.
These are common stereotypes, according to Dr. Jessica Gasserick. She is co-author of the book, Communication for Successful Aging. She also notes, though, that there can be improvements with age.
For instance, things like mental health, actually, when you look at the data, get better as people get older. Like your 20s are probably your worst time for mental health in your life. But if you look at people in their, sort of 60s and 70s, like on average, they're doing pretty well in terms of mental health.
We asked students in their 20s, at what age is old?
She's probably 70 plus years old. About 80 years old when I think of my grandma.
Usually in their 70s, 80s-ish, because when I think of somebody who's old, I think about my grandparents.
I think of someone my grandparents' age, so 60 or older.
I personally have grandparents who are in their 60s. I don't think that's old. I think that's like midlife.
These responses make a lot of sense because in contemporary American society, we are very age segregated.
Outside the family, people don't have a lot of opportunities to meet older adults. And so I think for a lot of people, their grandparents kind of are their benchmark for what older adults are like.
Dr. Gasserick shares that the keys to aging well include looking across different spaces in society for people who are aging in a way that you want for yourself.
Every morning I wake up.
She also suggests avoiding age excuses, such as, "I must be getting old," when you forget your car keys.
Using those, you're successfully excusing your behavior, but you're also looking more incompetent in the eyes of the people that you are, trying to excuse yourself to.
Finally, we should allow older adults to do what they feel capable of doing.
If you insist on carrying in your parents' groceries every time they go to the grocery store, that is a set of weights that they are not lifting and moving with. And eventually over time, that will contribute to physical decline because they're not actively using those muscles. And psychologically, it also reinforces this idea of we think you're not competent, we think you're not capable, and people can internalize that.
For UHMTV, I'm Amy Abesu Hubbard.
A rising tide is lifting interest on the effects of climate change in Hawaii.
Case Horn reports on what scientists are saying about rising sea levels and what politicians are doing to combat these issues.
It's low tide here at Waialae Beach Park. People come out here to swim, soak in the sun, or go for a stroll. Here, like many other low-lying coastal areas, are at risk of higher storm surges, more flooding, and coastal erosion.
Honolulu, like many other coastal cities, is well aware of this threat. Climate scientists like Dr. John Mara, NOAA's Regional Climate Services Director for the Pacific region, explains how sea level rise is more than a rising tide.
Total water level, that's what the folks on the ground feel. That's what gets you wet. And then on top of that, you kind of keep going. Obviously, you have the tides. And then on top of that, you have the waves. And even in some cases, you could add rainfall to that. So it's all those things that are stacking up at any particular place and time to figure out how high that water is.
Dr. Mara and many other climate experts like him support that sea level rise is just one piece of the climate crisis puzzle. The 2017 Sea Level Rise Vulnerability Report says over 17 miles of major roads will flood, 3,880 structures will be destroyed, more than 13,000 residents will be displaced, and Oahu will experience over $12.9 billion in economic loss.
That's a really eye-opening fact, the amount of structures and value that is potentially at risk. But that's what's at risk if we do nothing. And we know really the no action alternative isn't an option for us.
Matthew Gonzer, the Chief Resilience Officer for the Honolulu City and County, is the one to call shots on climate action and resilience plans for Honolulu.
We have some time. We don't have a ton of time to develop the plans, the investments, and the strategies.
The money, resources, and expert advisory are all available. Honolulu has the backing it needs to sustain through this growing climate crisis. For UHMTV, I'm Case Horn.
When we come back, we'll crawl around with some furry friends posing as locals on campus.
And fly to the west side with some pesky insects that are invading our native resources. Stay with us on UHMTV.
I chose UH Manoa's College of Social Sciences because it inspires me to be bold and unafraid, to stand out, speak up, defend, and question.
It's about being in my element, being engaged, and being part of something great.
At the College of Social Sciences, we empower students to explore their interests, discover what they excel in, and learn how to apply their knowledge outside the classroom. Visit us today and learn more about us, because life is not one-dimensional and your college degree shouldn't be.
Welcome back to UHMTV. Coming up next is a story about a furry four-legged creature with beady black eyes. This cute little mongoose right here can be seen throughout the Hawaiian Islands.
But are they actually indigenous to Hawaii? Let's take a look at how these mammals found their way to the 50th state. Gemma White has the story.
Herpestes aurum-punctatus, commonly known as the small Indian mongoose, are often spotted roaming the islands of Hawaii. Small in size and beady in eyes, they are a creature hard to forget.
Today we're on the UH Manoa campus where the mongoose species are often seen scurrying around. Today we're going to find out what students and faculty have to say about mongoose. If you could describe the mongoose species in one word, what would it be?
Cute. Adorable.
Cute.
Cute.
Opportunistic. The small Indian mongoose are actually an invasive species, which were introduced to Hawaii in 1883 from Jamaica. The early sugar planters in Hawaii experienced some very heavy rat damage in their sugarcane fields. Sugarcane farmers in the Caribbean had reported success in controlling rats using mongoose as a control method. Due to this apparent success, the mongoose were brought over to Hawaii. However, at the time, information was very limited on the potential negative impacts this decision would have on the islands of Hawaii. The first problem was that rats were nocturnal and mongoose were not.
There is a problem at poultry farms where the mongoose predate on the young chicks and eggs. Also, mongoose is a disease vector. In other words, they do carry certain diseases. Most important in Hawaii is leptospirosis. And this is a bacterial disease that humans pick up when they have cuts and bruises and they're wading in streams. A more serious issue, it's mainly predation on native ground nesting birds that love the eggs and chicks, the Hawaiian goose or nene, crow, alala, and a couple of the wetland species like stilts and ducks are impacted.
It is all about target control and reducing the risks. Such control includes creating barriers and fencing around poultry farms, extensive predator fencing in Hawaiian native bird refuges, and trapping is also a control technique that can be used by residents. Finally, in parks, it is recommended to cover trash cans to prevent them from getting into food. For UHMTV, I'm Gemma White.
Like the mongoose, the coconut rhinoceros beetle is invasive to the islands of Hawaii. These three-horned insects are killing off native Hawaiian plants across Oahu.
We'll talk with two Waianae residents taking this infestation on by planting more coconuts on the west side. The kumuniu, or coconut tree, is a vital part of life for many Pacific communities.
This is the tree that's chosen by the ancestry of the tropical island throughout the world collectively. This tree to be the tree of life.
However, Hawaii has struggled to keep coconut palms healthy in the islands.
One of the questions I asked when I first came here 20 years ago is, why no coconut in the coconut trees in Hawaii? Why this is not being eaten? Why this is not in the food system?
In October of 2023, the Hawaii Department of Agriculture declared the island of Oahu as infested with the coconut rhinoceros beetle. This beetle has been killing coconut palms all across the island, the Waianae community taking the hardest hit in the state.
And we are losing things we don't even know we have. Pretty much what we're experiencing is the genetic erosion, which means the trees are dying.
That's a key indicator that if our trees aren't doing well, our community won't do well.
But CRB not only threatens the coconut palms, it is also attacking our kalo, taro, maia, banana, uala, sweet potato, and ko, sugarcane.
Their preference right now is new, but when new is gone, everything else is going to be up for grabs. So we're trying to stop them from taking away the tools of our indigenous food system.
Jesse, Indrajit, and their team at Niu Now are educating the community on how to fight CRB and encouraging people to plant more niu in Waianae.
We started off in 2018, and then we kind of moved towards planting more niu, giving it to people, and the whole idea is to keep it free, because if we monetize it, we lose that essence, that function of what it means to kanu, to plant, to be indigenous, to be people of this land.
Niu Now hopes to plant over 1,500 coconuts in the near future and create the largest coconut nursery in the state. While this is a big task, they remain as determined as ever.
We just cannot let it happen like it's nothing here. This is the tree of life. We need to treat it with that respect.
We need more people speaking up and being ambassadors of it and showing that we need this to stick around, and that helps us out, and it's a part of us. And if you want to jump in and join and learn what we know, feel free. We welcome everybody, and I think that's the ability and the capacity of this movement.
To join their next workshop or help out in any future efforts, visit niunow.org for more information. And for UHMTV, I'm Hiʻilawe Neves. From the west shores of Waianae to the east side of Oahu, preserving native resources is vital to the ecosystem of Hawaii.
The Kawainui Sanctuary is an ancient site for native culture, species, and plants. Sarah Tomita tells us about some of the Hawaiian birds of this wildlife paradise.
On the banks of Kauai Nui, the calls of the Hawaiian moorhen can be heard throughout the area. The Kauai Nui Marsh Wildlife Sanctuary and Haumakua Marsh are home to endangered native water birds. The restoration and maintenance of these places are vital to the species' survival. Kouluakalana, a local nonprofit established in 2020, works to remove invasive species and restore Kauai Nui Fish Pond.
This little pond that you can see right behind us over here was just cleared by hand, just with volunteers, with picks, with shovels, with sickles, and mainly just to clear the grass, and now you can see the water. So just from clearing that little space, we're seeing there are endangered birds coming back here.
The Kauai Nui Marsh here in Kailua is one of the largest wetlands in Hawaii. It is home to the Hawaiian stilt, duck, coot, and moorhen. Kaleo and his team work closely with the Kauai Nui biologists on the best strategies in the revitalization of these Hawaiian species.
So we're familiar with strategies and how to protect these birds, but we want to just make sure we're checking in with the Kauai Nui biologists and the state to, we all want the same thing. We all want these birds to thrive in this place again. They're all endangered for many reasons, and what is the way we can help increase their population the best is what we're looking forward to. So,
for UHMTV, I'm Sarah Tomita.
When we come back, we'll get to know the journalists behind UH Manoa's student newspaper.
And go behind the scenes in our digital studios and learn about the production of our award-winning UHMTV show.
All this and more after the break.
Aloha and welcome back to UHMTV. Kaleo o Hawaii is UH Mānoa's only student-run newspaper publication.
Let's meet some of the hardworking writers, editors, photographers, and designers of Kaleo, who tell stories of the university and beyond. You've seen them all over, the green newsstands decorating Mānoa's campus. But they're not just there for some added green flair. They're distribution points for Kaleo o Hawaii, UH Manoa's newspaper and only student-run publication. Housed in Hemingway Hall, Kaleo reports for the UH community and beyond, covering news, features, and sports in bi-weekly print editions.
Primarily, my job is to manage the sports desk here. I go out there, I write recaps for Wahine volleyball and soccer, I take photos.
Kaleo writers work hard to keep their finger on the Mānoa pulse. Production sessions usually take an entire weekend, with editors revisiting and revising stories, photos, and pages in order to keep up the Kaleo standard. The publication has been at the forefront of some of the most pressing stories on campus.
There was an issue with whether or not athletes were actually getting tested for COVID or not, and if there were false positives, if there were any positives. That was a story that we had run. We got a stern talking to. But you know, what if you get a stern talking to from administration, sometimes that just tells you, hey, you did a good job.
As with any newspaper, the Kaleo staff works hard to stay ahead of the curve and adapt to the modern age. But the paper represents over 100 years worth of progress, and a lot has changed over time.
When I started, you know, we were still very much in a print-centric, print-heavy process. It was a different time.
Despite staffing shortages following the COVID-19 pandemic, the staff is just as determined to keep the wheels turning. Members of Kaleo are always on call to keep the spark of journalism alive at UH.
You look at Kaleo's staff, it's full of people who are committed individuals who are looking to make this their profession.
For UHMTV, I'm Noah Clay.
Our College of Social Sciences at UH Mānoa provides students with opportunities to build their skills and create professional bodies of work.
Erin Fujitani shows us behind the scenes of our media production courses and our nationally recognized television series.
Located on the west side of campus, tucked just inside the Sinclair Student Success Center, is the College of Social Sciences Digital Studios. The Digital Studios host college seminars, live stream campus events, and most importantly, provide digital media courses.
Students who interact with the digital studios, the various assets, will have just such a well-rounded opportunity to learn the many different angles of communicating their message, telling their stories, and speaking out. I couldn't be more proud of that.
Our students learn to create a television series, build skills in anchoring, write scripts for broadcast teleprompters, and so much more.
Be part of what some say is the top broadcast studio in the state of Hawaii. We even have job opportunities here that can lead you to your future career. And as I worked at the studio and kind of gained a little bit more experience with projects, I started realizing, hey, I'm kind of good at this. I like doing this. And it gave me an opportunity to work hard. It gave me an opportunity to grow in a way that my classes couldn't give to me.
The digital studios are not only a professional pipeline, but also provide students the opportunity to produce an award-winning show.
When I was shooting the UHMTV show, I got to produce, I got to edit the show, I got to write some of the scripts, I got to anchor. So you really get to experience every outlet of what it takes to create an episode. You're doing all of that on your own with like a little bit of help from your professors, but they want you to experience, what it's like to coordinate all of these moving parts so that when you're in the real world, you're able to and you have the tools necessary to get the job done.
Join the Digital Studios Ohana by emailing us at cssds@hawaii.edu or register for our classes under Social Sciences on the university's website. For UHMTV, I'm Erin Fujitani.
After the break, we'll head back outside to learn about Hawaii's native sea vegetable.
And hike up the Ko'olau Range to discuss the controversial Haiku Stairs. More on this when we come back.
There is a critical moment in time when an idea or spark becomes a catalyst for inspiration and change. These moments happen every day at the College of Social Sciences. We've partnered with local high schools statewide on the road to college access. We've established pathways with UH community colleges, like the Economics Bridge program, and mentored field research. They are being prepared for careers that are extraordinary and fulfilling. Our faculty researchers generate innovative solutions for critical issues central to Hawaii and beyond, understanding the human brain and exploring environmental concerns such as global impacts of polar warming, Our graduates are finding meaningful jobs, empowering science into social action. As the year comes to a close, our Ohana at the College of Social Sciences takes pride in looking back on all that we've accomplished and look forward to even more in the year to come. Wishing you and yours the warmest of holidays.
Welcome back to UHMTV. Limu, or Hawaiian algae, plays a significant role in native culture and heritage.
Learn how this local food source and traditional Hawaiian medicine has been vital in our islands for centuries. Kalawai'a Nunez has the story.
Ma Hawaii, hana ia limu no ka mea ai e na kanaka Hawaii. He mea ai onu o limu, a ka nae, hiki ke ho'ohana I ka limu no ka la'au lapa'au, ho'oponopono, a me mea ai no na holo na.
Limu is such an important part of our culture as Kanaka Maoli, as Native Hawaiians. Not only is it fish for food, we also use it to season our own food, and sometimes it would be a main course even. It was also used in La'au Lapa'au or Ho'oponopono, which is a ceremony to heal for each person involved in the hihia or pilikia.
Hiki I nā limu ke ka'awale I ka hui e kolu. O ma'o, maku'e, a me ula. I nā mamake oi e ho'oia I nā limu, hiki ya James Jimmy Fumo ke kukua ya mako.
Getting down to red, green, and brown is the first step in that. But then after that, we'll use these guidebooks to morphologically identify the types of species that we're looking at. This is Limu pepeau, Pedaina is the genus name. There's quite a few different species of Pedaina in Hawaii. They are a calcified brown algae that has a thin brown blade with small calcified rings in it. These are very common in the intertidal.
Ua kapa ia I ka makahiki aku nei he makahiki limu e ka kia aina kahiko o David Ige. No laila e ho'ola le'a kākou I nā limu. For UHMTV, I'm Kalawai'a Nunez.
After exploring life in the ocean, let's journey to the top of the Ko'olau mountain range.
Hawaii's iconic stairway to heaven has captivated locals and visitors alike for generations. Jack Vetter uncovers its fascinating history, legal battles, and unsung heroes working to preserve this legend from its demise.
Haiku Stairs, also known as Stairway to Heaven, is a popular hiking trail that ascends the Ko'olau mountain range. It offers panoramic views of Kaneohe, Kailua, and the H3 highway. Originally built during World War II as a way to access a radio station at the summit, the stairs have been officially closed since 1987 due to safety and liability concerns.
The biggest concern for me during the hike was the actual steps themselves. They should be maintained, but the government's not putting any money into it. So right now they're eroding away, corroding, and they're super dangerous right now. And I feel like that should be improved on.
With almost 4,000 stairs and 3,000 feet in elevation gain, this hike has gained notoriety in the outdoor community, not only in Hawaii, but around the world as one of the most difficult and beautiful hikes on the island.
I've done Stairway about last year, and I think it was probably one of the best experiences in my life. I can't really describe what it felt like. It was just an out-of-body experience, kind of euphoric, just being up there above everything, above my hometown, actually.
The allure of this hike has brought a significant amount of foot traffic, and with the only access to the hike being through residential and neighborhood private property, authorities and government officials have been pushing for its deconstruction since 2020.
Although the hike is illegal, the government is looking to deconstruct the stairway, and community members are opposed with these plans.
I myself do not agree with the plans to deconstruct the Stairway to Heaven. I think that it's actually should be invested into. I feel like the government should put money to fix it and make it a lot more accessible to people because it is so worth the wait. A lot of people should be able to do it, and it's definitely one of the bucket list items to do in Hawaii.
Personally, I do not agree with the plans to deconstruct the stairway. I think it's a really nice thing. I think it should be one of the 7 wonders of the world.
The future of Haiku Stairs is still uncertain. While some argue for its preservation and accessibility, others believe its removal is the only solution. What is undeniable is the passion that both hikers and local communities share for this iconic site. For UHMTV, I'm Jack Vetter.
Well, this wraps up the 33rd edition of UHMTV. Mahalo for watching. I'm Noah Clay.
And I'm Hiʻilawe Neves. For more information, please visit our YouTube channel. E mālama pono and aloha.
Aloha.